All right, guys, welcome to our team call for Tuesday, January 23rd. So as you guys know, if you've been following me on my story or my social media, I spent the last week at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. Last year, a group of us went to Unleash the Power Within. It was one of my big goals last year. And it's a funny story because for me, I used to make fun of anyone that followed Tony Robbins. I saw the movie Shallow Hal. I knew he was like this self-help guy. And I'm like, that's for people that have issues and don't know how to get their life together. That's not me. I don't need Tony Robbins. And that's one of the reasons I didn't want to do personal development when I started as a coach. So I was like, I'm not one of those people that can't get their life together. But obviously, I am really in need of getting my life together. And thank God that I did. So when last year started, in 2017, I put it on my goal list that I wanted to see Tony Robbins at an event. And in July, I got that opportunity along with some members of the team. We went to Unleash the Power Within, which is kind of like his preschool of all of his seminars. And when I was there, I was just totally in shock. Like, I did the fire walk. It was incredible. Tony believes in immersion, which is you go to an event, and guys, like, I was there from like 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock every single day for 5 days. So he believes in just going fully in depth in what he's going to teach, because that's the only way you learn. And then you put yourself in an event like that every 6 months. So when I was there at Unleash the Power Within, they gave a promotion to join his other seminars, Business Mastery. And I thought to myself, I have to do that. Like, I have to do that. I don't care about the cost. Because here's the thing, like, we see these events and we see these trainings and these things, and we think, oh, that'd be really cool. I want to put it on my goal list, like Olga was saying. Well, something that Tony says is, unless you put it down and schedule it, then it's just a dream. It becomes real when it's on your calendar. So I want to encourage all of you guys to find the next event. I love Tony Robbins. The first event I ever went to was Danny Johnson, First Steps to Success. Find one of those events ASAP and go. It really doesn't matter the price, because if you think you can't afford it, that's like the same value you're going to get out of it. So that event that I went to for Danny Johnson, I could hardly afford it back then. I couldn't even fathom leaving my kids for 3 or 4 days. But you make it happen and you're going to grow so much from it. My business is still growing from that. So I know for a fact I'm just going to continue to grow from the amount I invested in Tony Robbins. And for the 5 days, what was that, like 50 hours with him, right? It was like more than 50 hours last week with Tony Robbins. I know that it's just going to keep making me grow. So I want to talk to you guys about what I learned. So he had billionaires in the room. This man, he's a financial coach, life coach for millionaires and billionaires. He had a lot of people that are self-made millionaires in the room. He brought in a lot of great people to talk to us. But what it really came down to were things that were really simple, but they're really easy to forget. And it's kind of like everything in this business, right? It's only complicated because it's hard to develop the discipline to stick with it. So it's the same thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share with you guys what I learned. So he had this really great quote that I loved. He said, you have to be here because you have a mission, a vision bigger than yourself, something you want to outlast you. That's the only thing that keeps you going during the dark nights of the soul, when it feels like nothing is working and you've given it your all. I mean, just raise your hands if you guys feel like that sometimes, like you're pouring and pouring yourself into this business and it doesn't feel like it's taking off. It's what makes you work so hard when there's nothing left inside you, and it's what makes you find something more. It's a place for gladiators, not for dabbling wannabes. And honestly, I think that that's what happens a lot in this business. We find people that are just wannabes, that are attracted to us because we are positive people and they see that we're working out, that we hang out in our teams, and it seems like something fun to do. But this isn't for anybody that can't withstand harsh moments, hard moments in life that knock us down. So this is for gladiators, and I'm a gladiator, 1,000%. And if you guys showed up to this call tonight, you're a gladiator, and I know you want to go to places. So I asked you guys to bring your limiting beliefs to this call. Can you guys write down in the chat box and tell me what are some limiting beliefs that you have for yourselves? Like, some of my limiting beliefs are that I'm not a good leader, or that I'm gonna overwhelm myself and not be successful. I think that I can't do any better than I'm doing right now. Those are some of my limiting beliefs. How about you guys? Let's see, guys. Limiting beliefs, limiting beliefs. I won't be able to handle the package. I'm underestimating myself and not using my strengths. I'm not a good leader. I mean, and all of these and what I said, I feel like everyone can relate to them. And that's one thing that Tony said. Tony said that if you look at everybody's limiting beliefs, let's see, I'm overshooting my abilities. Yeah, you feel like maybe you overextended yourself and you're not going to be able to deliver. Tony says that these are actually like you have no new problems. All of us feel the same way. But he says that your life changes in an instant, and in an instant, in a moment, in the snap of fingers, you can change your life. So he says that what we need is a breakthrough. A breakthrough is a moment in time when the uncertain becomes certain. So it's like all of a sudden you're going through life, you're thinking one set of beliefs, and in an instant, your mind just changes. Let's see what else you guys got here. Limiting beliefs. Fear of driving has limited me. I'm afraid of outer opinions. I'm afraid of not handling pressure. Yeah, I actually didn't drive for a long time, Olga. I can relate to that. So, you know, we all have the same fears. So why are some people successful and not others? Because they created a breakthrough moment. You know, one of the things that Tony says is that it's not that people can't change. It's a change in motivation. You need to find what that thing is that you can leverage. It's going to make you change your perspective and make you have that breakthrough moment. So I want you guys to take these limiting beliefs and know for a fact that they're not real. Instead, you have to switch them on their head and find out, like, what is it that you really want to accomplish? Why can't you stay in that limiting belief? Because, for example, if you say, I overwhelm myself, how does that make you feel? When I think to myself, because that's one of my limiting beliefs, it makes me feel like I'm not strong enough. It makes me feel like I'll never accomplish anything. And then you have to ask yourself, well, is that how you want to feel? And the answer to that is no. You don't want to come from a place, a mindset that you feel like you can't handle things. Instead, you want to feel capable. You want to feel strong. You want to feel like a person that finishes things from the beginning to end, right? So it's that mindset that you have to get yourself into to combat that limiting belief and do what you got to do. So Tony says that there's 3 keys to a breakthrough. There's strategy, there's story, and there's state. So you guys are all business owners. We all have a business here. Now, in order to break through in your business and get to the next level, which of these do you think is the most important? Do you think that the most important thing for you to know is the strategy on how to do it? Do you think the most important thing is the story that you're going to tell yourself, or do you think it's the state that you're in? Order them for me. State. Olga said state. Good. Who else thinks it's state the most important? Angie said the strategy. And I think that that's what most people think. Most people think that it's strategy because we know we want to do this. Yes, state. We know we want to do this, but we get so caught up in the how. Tony calls this the tyranny of how. And what happens is that we get so caught up with the how and how we're going to do things that we don't go back and we don't manage our state. He says that the most important thing that we need in order to be successful is a proper state of mind. State is the position that you're in. So there's a triad. I don't know if any of you were in the call that I did with my Tony Robbins coach, but she said to create a triad, which we're going to go through right now. So I want you all to grab a piece of paper and you're going to draw a triangle on it. Show me on the screen when you guys have your triads. So it's going to be like this, a triangle. So this is the deal. Think of a moment in your life in which you felt amazing, like a moment in your life that you felt invincible, that you were on top of the world and there's nothing that you could not do. Think about that moment right now. And I want you to focus on 3 things. First of all, you're going to talk to me about your physiology. How were you standing? Were your shoulders slumped or were your shoulders back? How was your posture? Were you standing up straight? Where were your arms? How were you breathing? Were you breathing in shallow breaths or were you breathing in deep breaths? How was your posture? Talk to me about that. Put in the chat box. How were you guys standing? How was your body? How were you carrying yourself? Number 2 you're going to focus on is the language. How were you speaking to yourself at that moment? What were the things going through your mind? How did you feel about yourself? What were the words? Because we constantly have an inner dialogue going on in our minds. So what were the words that you were telling yourself about yourself? And the 3rd thing, let's see what you guys got so far. Full of confidence, head high, crown on your head. Exactly. Like nobody can knock that crown off of your head. You were standing tall. You were standing proud. You felt amazing. I could conquer the world. That's exactly how we have to start our day. And our focus, were we focused on, I'm not good enough, I feel overwhelmed, I'm not a good leader at those moments? Or were we focused on how amazing we are and the things that we were just accomplishing, right? That's where our mind is. For me, when my coach tells me get into state, getting into state to me is Wonder Woman. You know how Wonder Woman stands with her chest up and her arms on her hips and she's just powerful beyond belief. That's my triad. That's how I get into state. And then you have to think about some of the words that you tell yourself when you're in state, because look at the things that you guys put in the chat box before. I'm not a good leader. I overwhelm myself. I bite off more than I can chew. Instead, when you're in this powerful state, the things I say to myself, for example, are I am light. I am powerful. I will reject fear. I will overcome. I am full of purpose. I am enough. I am beautiful. And those are the things that I always repeat to myself to be in state. And one of the things, yes, the power of I am. God created the world by speaking it into being. So when you say I am, you become that identity. So if you think of the moments that you're not in state, that you feel like, think of your limiting beliefs. Do you guys think that when you're thinking your limiting beliefs, you're in state? You're not in peak state. You're in a horrible state. Instead, we have to get rid of the tyranny of how, stop thinking about how we're going to execute. Instead, we do not negotiate with our minds. Take no prisoners with your mind. You're going to stay in peak state, and you're going to do it especially when you don't feel like it. So Tony says that every morning he gets himself into peak state. He gets himself into peak state, and he tells himself these affirmations. He makes sure that he's full of gratitude so that that's how he faces the world. And he doesn't let his mind get the best of him, because when you let loose, your mind is going to just take over you and fill you again with those negative thoughts that don't let you accomplish anything. Now, let me ask you guys something. If you guys are in state, do you think state matters? Do you think strategy matters when you're in state? Put it in the chat box. Do you think that when you're feeling powerful, when you're feeling like Stephanie said, you have that crown on top of your head, do you think that there's anything that you can't do? Anything that you can't figure out? No. So the most important out of these 3 to break through and take your business to the next level is to be in the proper state, a peak state, every single day at all times of the day. And it's your discipline. Tony says you have to make your mind a muscle. It's your discipline. It's like we're doing with our booties right now, an 80-day obsession. It's a muscle that you have to strengthen. You have to get into peak state. The next thing is your story. We all have this incredible story of what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. That's the second thing, guys, because you can be in a peak state, but then somebody comes and tells you something, and then if it goes along with the story that you've been telling yourself, like I hear people sometimes tell me that they can't build a business because their husband doesn't support them. They can't build a business because they aren't where they want to be in their fitness. That sounds like a story, because are there other people getting it done with the same excuses? Yes, they are. So we have to be really careful with what we choose to believe, because our story, what we tell ourselves about ourselves, isn't true. It's just a matter of circumstance in the moment and our mindset. If I have a bad day and everything seems to go against the way I want it to, wouldn't you say that then my story is that I can't get anything right? We tend to do that to ourselves. If we have a bad day, we tend to believe that that's just how things turn out for ourselves. Instead of separating that incident and saying, these are bad moments, this doesn't define me and who I am and where I'm going. So if you're in peak state all the time, if you're in the proper story of I'm going to build a business, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to add value to people, then the strategy comes later. Because yes or no, guys, when you believe something for yourself, you're going to make it happen anyway, right? So this brings us to the next thing. Tony said that in anyone that wants to build a business, the only thing that really matters once you're in peak state and everything is these 3 core beliefs. This is everything. For you to go after something and build something, the how doesn't matter. What matters is this. You have to believe that it's there, that there is an opportunity, that what you want exists. 2, you have to believe that you will and you must find it, that you will make it work no matter what it costs you, no matter how hard it is, because you believe it's there and you must do it. One of the best things that Tony says that I tell myself is, when you can't, you must. You know that there's sometimes these things that come up in our lives where we're like, I can't do that. But you know you should, but you keep telling yourself like, I can't, I'm just not capable of it. No, when you can't, that's when you must. And the third point is that it is worth it. If you guys are here at 8:30 at night, when you guys have your family members and that long day of work and you made it on this call, it's because you believe that this opportunity is worth it. And what we do as coaches is worth it. So if you have these 3 core beliefs, there's nothing that's going to shake you. And he told us the story of this man right here. His name is Mel Fisher. In 1970, Mel found this treasure map to this Spanish pirate ship that sank around Florida. And he believed that he was going to find it. He believed A, that the treasure was there, B, that he will find it, and C, that it is worth it. This man spent thousands and thousands of dollars buying boats, refinancing his home in order to fund this mission to find this treasure. Like, everyone thought he was nuts. He spent 16 years of his life finding this treasure. He even lost his son and daughter-in-law when there was a storm at sea one time and the boat capsized. And he had to put more money again into getting another boat to continue to find this treasure. And guess what? 16 years later, when he almost lost everything and nobody believed in him and he was a laughingstock, Mel Fisher found the treasure in 1985. That treasure was worth $450 million. But yet some of us give up on things because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't keep ourselves in proper state. We tell ourselves the wrong story and we don't have these core beliefs. And we get so hung up on the how. The how doesn't matter, because as long as you believe that it's there, you're going to find the how. So let's talk about how you stay in peak state. One of the things that Tony was telling us is if you make your happiness depend on how you can control your outside forces, How many of you think that you're ever going to really be happy? Like, you're not. You can't control what anybody else does. You can't even control what your kids do. You can't control what your spouse does. You can't control anybody. You can hardly control your own emotions sometimes. So you can't base your happiness on if everything's going according to your plan and according to the way you want it to go. That's not what happens. Instead, he says these 4 things are things that he does every single day, and this is what remaining in peak state depends on. Number 1, feed and strengthen your mind every single day. Tony Robbins he told us he was 57 years old. He's been a millionaire since his early 20s. He says that this is something that he does every single day, and the older he gets, the more he believes in it. The more he believes in it. Feed and strengthen your mind every single day. And I think that we're in a perfect place because as Beachbody coaches, we are told to do personal development every single day. Tony Robbins was mentored by Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn told him that you have to read every single day. If you need to give up eating or reading, give up eating. Because feeding your mind is going to be the most important thing that's going to help you overcome anything that comes at you. So feed and strengthen your mind every single day. Number 2, strengthen your body. Again, we're in the right place. Tony works out every morning. And if you guys saw I Am Your Guru, you see, I'm not your guru, you see his whole morning routine. We work out every day. We do personal development every day. So we're in the right place. Number 3, find a great role model. So let's say you have a goal to improve your relationship with your spouse. Look at someone that has a relationship you admire and model their behavior. If there's someone that you really admire in business, look at what they do every day and model their behavior. If you admire someone's physique, look at what they're eating every day. Look at what they do every day and model their behavior. The next thing is proximity is power. Basically, if you want to grow in life, you have to be around people that are growing. There is power in who you hang around with. If you stay hanging around with people that don't believe the same things as you, that don't have the same values as you, that aren't, growth oriented as we are, then guess what? You're not going to grow. Find people that are better than you. Find people that are living that role model life that you want and make it happen. A great story that he told is that he had this guy, it's one of the richest men in New York. He got him as a client for coaching. And he said to him, Tony, you know what? I really like you. Every once in a while, my friends and I, we're all billionaires. We're able to travel like nobody travels. Like we'll go to Thailand and then from there take a jet to like the Alps and go skiing, whatever. They do things like that. Like, we're going on a trip in a couple of weeks and I like you. I want you to come with us. And I think you're going to benefit a lot from hanging around us. And Tony's like, okay, well, how much do you think that's going to cost? And that's when he was like in his late 20s, early 30s, where he couldn't really get away from his business without losing income. And he didn't really have it like that yet, where he can go away for a couple of weeks and his business would continue to grow. It depended so much on him. So the guy's like, it'll cost us like, I don't know, $45,000, $50,000, $60,000 for 3 weeks. And then Tony was like, let me get back to you for a second. And then he's like, the guy said to him, Tony, wait a second. You're telling me that I'm giving you a chance to hang out with billionaires, powerful men, to be around us, to conversate with us, to be around how we think, and you're going to tell me that you have to think about it? And then Tony right away was like, no. What I meant is that I have to put it on my calendar. And he did it. And the friendships he made from that trip are friendships that have benefited him to this day and have taken him to another level in his business. So take these 4 tips down and think, how can you get better every single day? Now, let's get into a little bit more nitty-gritty. Remember that the how doesn't matter so much as long as you're in peak state all the time and you're telling yourself the proper story. But there's still some things that we have to address in a business. Number 1, write this down for yourself. These are your notes and things that you have to work through. How is your business? What state is your business in? Number 2, what business are you in? And I know what business we're in, right? On the surface, we're in health and wellness, we're in nutrition, we're in fitness, we're in direct sales. But number 3, that's the best question. And this question is going to be very tailored to you guys. This one is very individual, and it's going to really help take your business to the next level when you understand this. What business are you really in? For example, me, you know what business I'm really in? I'm really in the business of empowering women to fortify their mental state and their relationship with God. That's the business I'm really in. And do you guys see how me being in peak state and understanding that that's the business I'm really in will help me serve people a lot better? Because I think that we kind of get hung up on, I have to sell Shakeology, I have to sell this 80-day obsession workout. But that just makes us blend into everybody else and kind of lose track of the service that we as individuals offer. Because I'm a different coach than Marisol. Marisol is a different coach than Olga. Olga is a different coach than Stephanie. What business are you really in? What is the service that only you can add to people? If you think of like the phone industry, there's a lot of different cell phones. What does Apple offer to people that Samsung doesn't? Think about the computer business. What does Microsoft offer to someone that like the HP doesn't? You have to really know for yourself what value it is that you add to people and continue to add that value in peak state. Number 4, what is the gap between where you are now and where you want to be? What is that? If you really think about it, you want to be someone that hits Success Club 20 every month, that brings in 5 coaches, that's really confident in your business, has a growing team. What's the only thing that's holding you back? It's yourself and your limiting beliefs. Because the whole strategy thing, you guys know how to do that. We give you weekly trainings. There's trainings in the back office. The how is there. 4 vital behaviors every day. You don't negotiate with those 4 things every day and your business will grow. But what's stopping you from going to the next level is your limiting beliefs. It's your fear of being overwhelmed. It's your fear of rejection. It's your fear of what people think about you. It's your fear of actually just going for it, right? I know you guys agree with that. It's your fear of just stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing what you know you need to do. I know you guys know what you need to do, but we don't do it because we get stuck in the how and in the wrong story and letting things affect us. 3 ways to grow a business. So at this whole seminar with all these millionaires and all these people that are just like killing it, I was sitting next to a woman that makes $50,000 a month in her business. He said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to look at the number of clients that you have, challengers, and for us coaches, you're going to increase the average transaction value that everyone spends, which the share cart really helps us because someone buys a challenge pack, they can add the 3-day refresh. So we're going to increase the number of clients and coaches that we bring in every month. We're going to increase the average transaction. So they're not only going to buy, Beachbody on Demand, the 80-day obsession challenge pack, but they're going to get the performance line. They're going to get some gear from us. They're going to get, other nutritional items. And then you're going to increase the frequency of repurchase. So if everyone's drinking their Shakeology every day and everyone's drinking their Recover and their Recharge every day, they're going to go through it and need to purchase more. So here's the goal that we have to set. I want you guys to look into your back office and write down, how many challengers do I bring in every month? How many coaches? What's the average transaction value per person that I bring in? Is it just the $180 challenge pack? How much is it? How often are they buying from you? Do they buy just one time? Or are these people that stay loyal customers? How many of your challengers stay on Shakeology every month? And what you're going to do is that you're going to increase that number. You're going to set a goal. Am I going to increase it by 10%, 30%, or 50%? And then you're going to find a compelling reason why you must make that happen for yourself. Because guys, if I tell you to grow your business by 50% and you're in peak state, do you think that there's anything that's going to stop you? Tell me, is there anything that's going to stop you from growing your business if you're in peak state? All of a sudden, all these obstacles don't matter anymore because you're not looking at them. You're not looking at everything that's stopping you. You're instead looking at all the possibilities and everything that you can do. So what we're going to do right now, because I know you guys know your limiting beliefs, now you have to set that goal for yourself, how much you're going to increase your business. You have that goal of staying in peak state all the time. Now we're going to do an exercise. I'm actually not going to, let me go back to share my screen. I'm going to unmute you guys because we're going to do something together. And for those of you that follow me on my story, you saw me doing this with Tony. All right, are you guys ready? I'm going to say a line and you guys are going to repeat after me. Okay? If you unmute yourself because we're going to get loud. All right? Now, you guys are going to stand up straight, shoulders back. Show me peak state, guys. Show me peak state. Peak state. I see Gabby getting straight. I see Marisol standing up straight. Carla, I see your chest sticking up. I see really taller. Come on, peak state. Ready, guys? Repeat after me. I am a gladiator.
I am a gladiator.
Winter is my season.
Winter is my season.
This is my time.
This is my time.
I will not be denied.
I will not be denied.
I own who I am, and I will add more value than anyone else.
I own who I am, and I will add more value than anyone else.
I am a gladiator.
I am a gladiator.
Winter is my season.
Winter is my season.
This is my time.
I am a gladiator.
This is my time.
Give me your fears. Give me your limitations, and I will give your
Give me your fears, your limitations, and I'll give you results.
We got lives to save. We got businesses to build. We got amazing things to do. So we're going to do this again. And I want more energy from all of you. Are you guys ready? Ready? I am a gladiator.
I am a gladiator.
Winter
is my season.
This is my time.
This is my time.
I will not be denied.
I will not be denied.
I own who I am, and I will add more value than anyone else.
I own who I am, and I will add more value than anyone else.
I am a gladiator.
I am a gladiator.
Winter is my season.
Winter is my season.
This is my time.
This is my time.
Give me your fears, give me your limitations, and I will give you results.
Give me your fears, your limitations, and I'll give you results.
Now, who's freaking ready to rock their business after this?
Vamos.
Honestly, like, don't you guys feel like, what, how? I'm just going to get it done. I don't know how, but it's going to happen, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm going to share that. I want you guys to tell yourself that every morning. Like, winter is our season. When there are other people out there struggling, not us. We get stuff done because we believe in ourselves.
That's right.
We negotiate with our mind. All right? And we obviously don't always up early.
You can barely
What's that, guys? You guys have questions for me? Talk to me. Any questions? You guys are just ready to go out there and get stuff done, right?
Nope.
Like in peak state.
Xander.
What if,
Xander.
Carla, how about you?
My question is, how do I drown out all the noise and the distractions to just focus on my business? Mommy. Mommy. Mommy.
By staying
Look at it.
state. When you stay in peak state, you anticipate that things are going to happen, but you're in such an untouchable point of view in your mind that those things don't matter, because we get to a point that you can't control other people and what other people do. You can control yourself. So if you don't negotiate with your mind, then the things that you need to do every single day, no matter what, like the 4 vital behaviors, they happen. They happen. It's those moments that we want to get caught up in the things going around us, like now, that we want to get caught up in the things going around, that we choose to give energy to those things. True or false? Are those things that we choose to give energy to? Can you control not giving energy to those things? You can, but it's like Tony says, it's a muscle that you have to develop. And yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens over time and you can get it done. So I'm going to share this PDF. Have your triad, guys. Really work on that tonight. So when you wake up in the morning, you get yourself into peak state. When there's someone pissing you off at work, you're in peak state. When your kids are driving you insane, you're in peak state. When you're doubting yourself in your business, you're in peak state. Because there's nothing that you can't do when you're in peak state. Like Gabby knows, when we walked on fire, he had us in peak state. Tony Robbins had us walk over burning coals. And we didn't get burned because we were in peak state. You know, so it's your mind. Our minds can be our biggest enemy or our biggest friend. You have to decide what you make of that. And get yourself to an event, guys. That's probably the biggest thing, because, you know, I came out of there and so many people are like, oh, so what did you get out of Tony Robbins? What did you get out of Tony Robbins? And I knew I had to come back and do this call for you guys, but it's nothing that I can really explain, because it's what worked in me and what I got out of it based on what I needed. You know, so I can't transmit to you what it did for me, because you have to go and receive it yourself. And like I was saying in the beginning of the call, the cost does not matter, because the more it costs you, the more you're going to get out of it, because you're going to make sure it's worth your while. So, you know, Gabby's a huge proponent of Danny Johnson. Find where the first steps to success is and go to Danny Johnson. If you want to go to Tony Robbins, UPW is in March in San Jose, California, I think. Go to Unleash the Power Within, because the person that you're going to be when you come out of it, it's so much more than you are now. Like, we never ever think that events have this much power, but they do. And if you want to change your business, if you want to change your life, you have to make it happen for yourself. You know, it's how you are going to be transformed. And I can't do that for you by telling you what happened. I can help you and give you tips, but it's something that you need to experience for yourself and for a way for you to grow. All right, guys. So you guys have some homework to do. I have my goals. I have my goals for the next, to increase my business. I set a goal to increase my business by 30%. So I have my numbers and I know what I'm reaching for, and I'm going to get that done. And to help you guys get it done for yourselves, Gabby and I are hosting a sneak peek tomorrow night at 8:30. She and I are going to go live. So make sure that you're inviting anyone, your challengers especially. Your challengers are the first people that you invite. And you invite anyone else that's interested in the coaching opportunity. I created the event page. I'll share it on the team pages so that you guys can invite people. But tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Gabby and I will be going live, telling our stories and talking more about the coaching opportunity. So get people onto there and let's grow this thing. Let's be amazing and do amazing things. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.
Audrey.